1994, Tom and Viv, starring William Defoe. I've just seen this on the my top 10 of 1994. Got some nominations. I'll go into that in a minute. So this is basically a biopic. Chronicles the 30-plus year marriage of T.S. Eliot, played by Defoe, and Vivian Haywood Elliott, played by Miranda Richardson. It starts in 1915 with their courtship in their 20s, and then we go through as they age, and it falls apart around about the end of the Second World War. And the comments suggest that the performances get better the older they are, with reference to Richardson, who got a nomination for Best Actress, but it's rather negative about Defoe's contribution. Okay, so through a narration, it's Oxford, it's 1915, it's the time when Viv meets T.S. Eliot. T.S. Eliot, Tom, born in the United States, but trying desperately to refine his British accent, and the romance is described as Viv sweeping him off his feet. The photography of the British countryside is something to be noted. It's extravagantly beautiful. So we get early images of affluence. We get images of punting in Oxford. The educated classes, so to speak, and as they pause on their punt, they start to get rather romantically inclined, and then Tom's passion starts to overcome him, and he starts to head for the culmination, so to speak, but Viv is not too pleased about the location out in the open air, so she backs off and then apologises, saying that she really does want to. Morris is Viv's brother, is the rating, and as she's about to shoot off with Tom in the car, God knows what, elopement, possibly, certainly sex, he wants to tell Tom a little bit about his sister, but we don't get the info until it's back on his narration, Women's Troubles, which suggests that she's got a rather sort of unpredictable bipolar, possibly hysterical type of disorder. So to combat this, described as wild mood swings, she takes a cocktail, 2 drugs, alcohol and morphine, to try and stabilise, but they do exactly the opposite apparently. A dismayed set of parents return, and Morris, their son, points out what's happened in terms of an elopement involving their daughter and T.S. Eliot, who at this stage of course is relatively unknown, and they are not at all pleased. knowing full well how unstable their daughter is. The consummation doesn't appear to have gone that well, and Tom goes out for a walk. Viv tries to erase the blood-stained sheets, and altogether are off to a pretty poor start. But it becomes apparent that the nomination for Miranda Richardson is well-founded. Early phase of this movie, she's actually acting at the highest level in terms of over-dramatic reaction, the sort of manic type of behaviour indicative, I guess, with these sort of cases. These period pieces, they do have a knack of appealing to my British sense of perspective. After returning from their gallivanting, Tom goes in to hear the music from the parents and tries to put together a case for his reliability and his financial security, which is, to say the least, stretching it. And there's a beautiful scene when the father sort of ridicules Tom's efforts to reassure him and his wife about his motives in marrying his daughter. Richardson's really good in this role, whilst they're sitting in this sort of dining hall with their respective positions, and the staff standing in abundance. Viv tries to engage in conversation regarding the forthcoming war with Germany, and how thousands and upon thousands are going to perish, and the conversation is snuffed out by first mother and then father, that there is sort of flippancy at the issue at hand. One, Bertrand Russell, the philosopher and pacifist, comes to the script, and he's offered an attic room to Tom and Viv, but of course he's next on the discussion run, whilst Viv tucks into her bread roll. Morris, Viv's brother, finally gets his calling up papers for the World War One, of course, and his parting shot to Tom is 3 out of 4 junior officers don't come back. A rather chilling thought, it must be said, when he visits Tom at the accommodation and sees Bertrand Russell. Tom accepts a position in the bank, so he's got some regular money. Viv is annoyed because she's got time on her hands without Tom, so she starts to get his mind working, suggesting that she's going to go to the coast with Bertrand Russell, testing his lack of jealousy, one assumes, trying to manipulate his emotions. It's quite surprising, really, how one-dimensional Defoe's portrayal of T.S. Eliot is. He just doesn't seem to have any sort of flamboyance. He seems to be very sturdy and predictable, and for a man supposed to garner great creativity with the words on paper, his character seems to be bereft without any of those characteristics. Tom receives a diagnosis with regard to his wife, and it's described as menstrual, I can't remember it now, but basically it's a combination of extreme colic in the stomach area and a pituitary gland, causing a great deal of activity in the brain. The consequences is of this severe mood swings, and that the condition is going to get worse. And Tom constantly refers to the relationship and the marriage in the highest view, describing it as almost problem-free. He's just living in a fool's paradise, living a deceit basically, as a means to bring the conversation to a quick conclusion, rather than labour it on the knowledge that most have that she's got this problem. We have a sort of dinner party as such at the table, and Viv is getting more and more sloshed and being more and more blatant and outrageous, and the eyes are peeled at her, and Tom's trying to refrain from interference, and the performance by Richardson is just excelling, frame after frame. Some tremendous scenes in this movie. They're at the solicitor's office discussing the probate. The old man's died, and Viv has been parked off to the shops, but she arrives back, and two trustees have been nominated in the will, the son and Tom. But Viv marches in and basically demands to know what her cut is, which of course is dependent on how the trustees deal with it, as basically there's a lot of property but not a lot of cash, and she then goes on a sort of manic run. She goes down lots of mania holes, completely off the table with her thinking, and just builds herself up more and more until her mother intervenes before she probably has a hysterical fit. Further experts in the psychiatric field are now labelling Viv's condition as moral insanity, and the movie has illustrated examples of the odd behaviour, such as pouring liquid, possibly urine, or it could well have been a form of black chocolate or something, through a letterbox. We move forward now to the 30s, 1932, and Tom gets an opportunity for a year's work at Harvard. We move forward now to the serious consideration that on our next episode that two doctors and a social worker commit her to a mental institution. Later, after the magistrate's order, they go to collect her in a public cafe. All hell breaks loose. Viv committed. The two trustees share a moment before Morris jettisons off to Africa and Tom prepares for America. And Tom says, "What have we done?" They are both moving forward with a, what one might say, a heavy heart. We move forward to 1942. We go to the home where Vivian is being detained. An officer, American officer, comes to visit her. They're reviewing her case. It appears that since her menopause, her behaviour her irrational behaviour has disappeared completely, and they're now considering that the whole problem was due to hormonal imbalance. Deeply moving visit by Morris visiting his sister. Harsh realities she's not seen Tom in a decade since her mother died. She's had no visitors really, left in isolation with the nuns. She offers a box of chocolate to be given to Tom. Viv died in 1947 in the mental asylum. 11 years she's been there. And